Okay, tonight's topic is on the merger madness, why it matters to you and to your clients. I don't know if you've been watching the news or following the real estate news, but Shannon and I have definitely been following and having some very, what would you say, like pretty engaging
Oh,
conversations. We
yes.
love our banter. So we thought we'd include you guys in our banter tonight. And I guess we're going to record this too. So I got
It's for the masses.
yeah, it should be kind of fun to see what we say. So we've got a few, I guess, news that we're going to go over, and then we're going to discuss why it matters to you. And Shannon and I are going to banter it out. And hopefully, you guys can take away a few ideas on how you can talk intelligently to your clients and other people in the industry and really carve out your place in the industry. This is the time, I would say, the people that are tuned in right now and do some adjustments in their businesses will survive whatever's on the horizon, I will say, and they'll be around 18 to 24 months. Some people, maybe hopefully not on this call, but maybe people listening and have not taken action, that it's not going to look good. It'll be tougher instead of easier if you don't take action now. So let's go to the next slide and let's talk about the first one.
Yeah, so I mean, really, the cat's out of the bag. There's a couple things that are really big in the news. We'll start one. There's three of them particularly that we want to focus on today. But the first one, this has been around for a couple weeks now, but Keller Williams had a huge investment from a private equity firm called Stone Point. So it's a venture capital company that's just invested heavily within Keller Williams. And really the big thing is Keller Williams is massive. They're huge.
In
They're
our
one of the
area.
biggest franchises nationally, internationally that you'll come across. So I mean, really the conversation around it is, what they're touting within Keller Williams, but also what they're putting on their press releases and things like that is that they're going to have better technology, better operations, streamlined this, streamlined that is basically what they're touting right now. So I mean, that's really the question.
Well, and I've got close friends over at Keller Williams. I know Candace and Virginia both came from Keller Williams, so they can speak to their business model. And I would say Keller Williams does an outstanding job of working their sphere of influence. And with this private equity firm investing in their business, there's talking about some improvements to technology, and it's very, very needed, I would say.
Yeah.
So, more sophistication, more opportunities for, I think, some of their agents to improve their businesses and stay at Keller Williams, but there are a lot of them that are looking over at other options. So it proves to be a very good, I don't know, change. I guess whenever change happens like this, it definitely helps us when we're independent from all of these private equity firms.
Yeah, well, and it's with that type of investment, these private equity, I mean, they care about bottom line. That's at the end of the day, that's all they care about. And making sure that they're profitable and that their investment was sound, that sort of thing. So yeah, it removes the human element
It
of
doesn't really translate to the consumer, I don't think,
no,
not all the
no.
time. So it's something to keep in mind. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, so the next one that's kind of come through, this was basically fresh off the press this last week, but Redfin and Rocket Mortgage had a $1.75 billion acquisition this last week. That's B with a billion with a B. And this is massive. A seamless one-stop home buying experience is what they're touting. Redfin, I think several years ago, they have their title and escrow. They had their thing with Bay Equity here locally. And so now it's big Rocket Mortgage, which used to be Quicken Loans and things like that. So I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one.
This one was fun for me to watch because I've been involved in the technology. I worked for a company before I opened my own firm. I worked for a company that was much like Redfin. It was like Redfin 1.0. So I saw this coming. I could almost have predicted something like this would happen because I did watch and I got to observe Glenn Kelman when he's spoken at a few conferences last year, and you could almost sense it with what he was talking about and the way he was looking at Bay Equity. He had brought Bay Equity in to kind of be their mortgage arm. And then also he had had title, and many of you have had a chance to work with their title company because they pretty much mandate the usage of that title company, along with the mortgage. And so the adoption of the clients using Bay Equity was part of the reason that I think he decided to align himself with Rocket Mortgage and make that merger happen. So uh, I would not say that Redfin is for everyone or Rocket Mortgage is for everyone, but it certainly is a game changer when it comes to making the home buying experience more seamless. So, you think, well, is that more seamless? Sometimes it becomes complicated when you add all these elements or technology, and it is disruptive, I would say. But
Well,
by and far, the integration does help the consumer.
yeah, yeah, and I mean that's basically what they're touting on the blogs. I mean, if any of you are on the Facebook pages, I mean across the nation, everybody's saying, "Oh, this is going to be great. We're going to, in essence, the consumer is going to be paying less money on the bottom line." And because the lenders are all integrated, and at the end of the day, it's just going to be better for the consumer. And it's challenging because there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, that means that real estate agents are going to be defunct in 10 years." This is in essence what's kind of going around in the blogs, but I don't see that. I don't see that happening. There's going to be a market for Redfin. There has been for over 20 years
Yeah.
for a Redfin type model, but it's the consumers are willing to pay more for a more personalized type of experience. So it's not for everybody, but it is something to keep an eye on because these are buzzwords that the consumers want to see. They want to see seamless. They want to see that they're getting value
They want
out
to
of
see
their dollar
savings.
amount.
I think
Yeah.
Redfin has always been touting their whole discount, like I'm going
Yeah.
to save money by working with a Redfin agent. But they've peeled back on that very, very quickly. And quite frankly, they have not turned a profit.
In
So
years and years.
Redfin is definitely going
Yeah.
through a shakeup when it comes to this acquisition. And having it be seamless. I think that will be to be determined, I would say. We've also seen from the recruiting front, we had a few brokers that have come to Best Choice Realty from Redfin. And I think you could say it's a much different company over here on this side of things where you can control what you spend in marketing. You don't have a company or a corporation telling you where you can do business and how you can do business. You have the ability to create your own company and independently make decisions. Whereas if you work for Redfin or Rocket Mortgage, you would be having to do it their way. They do not carve out any kind of uniqueness or personality. They have their own way of doing things over there. So we have
Yeah.
one of our brokers, I won't name any names, but he left Best Choice right before this announcement. He was there for probably 3-4 weeks. And he came back quickly to Best Choice Realty, and we welcomed him back with open arms. And he said, Rochelle, if anybody tells me to maybe go over and look at Redfin, think again. Remind me that I'm not going back.
Yeah.
so
Well, and
be careful.
Yeah. So from the consumer's perspective too, though, I mean, there is kind of the element with Rocket Mortgage, and we've kind of seen this even with title, is the whole forced concept. I mean, be forced into using specific vendors and whatnot too. And for consumers want to be able to shop. They want to be able to know that they're getting a good deal. And if they're being forced to, yes, they're going to get the deal maybe with Redfin, but are they really going to get the deal with lenders? I mean, they're going to be very careful, I think, about fine print for the consumers on that. Yeah.
Let's go to the next one.
So yeah, here's another one. So this is one, I'd say this is more the rumor mill right now, but it's looking very promising with a big question mark. We'll see how this ends up shaking out, but Compass is in the middle of potentially negotiating to buy Berkshire Hathaway. Supposedly there's a $5 billion acquisition. I mean, this is basically kind of how when when Twitter was in the process of being purchased too. It's like it's looking promising to having some sort of acquisition at some point between these two companies. So
Berkshire Hathaway never really wanted to be, real estate. Warren Buffett owns the company. And so, he's looked at this company as kind of like, it's real estate. It's a part of their investment strategy, but Compass is looking at how they can get access into more of a traditional and change the traditionals into being more online and utilizing technology more. Be careful on that because it's Compass did that in Seattle. They aggressively went after some of these smaller companies and essentially bought up the market share and integrated into their model. Same thing goes, read the fine print with this type of company and situation. Compass is definitely wanting to be a disruptor. I've heard Robert as well as Glenn speak in the last year, and I can tell you that some of the things he said have not been well received by the traditionals. So I don't know if this will actually happen or this acquisition will happen, but it will stir up a lot of disruption, I would say, in the
Yeah.
traditional way of looking at real estate.
Which in some ways is good. I
It's-
mean, our model, the way that real estate is one of the slowest industries to adapt to different things that are going on that we come across. I mean, even just mobile applications, guys, like it's come a long way in the last 10 years, but it's concerning to see tech-based companies like Compass it's backed by all the tech giants. I mean, this is venture capital at its finest that are getting into the real estate space, and they came in and buying market share across the nation. At the consumer, do they really want to go with the big Compass, or do they want someone that they know and trust to help them with their purchases? And it is a big purchase that they're making. They want to make sure that it's someone that they trust. So, yeah, this is a quote from the article. It says, can a brokerage built on aggressive market share expansion successfully integrate a legacy franchise-based giant like Berkshire Hathaway? And it's going to be a challenge, but I do think that Berkshire Hathaway needs it. Are they going away? No, not by any means. There's going to be a need for a Compass and a Berkshire Hathaway for sure. But it does offer a nice alternative to have a boutique, personalized experience by working with an independent brokerage like us.
I just came from Berkshire Hathaway and I chatted about exactly this subject this afternoon with one of their VPs, corporate VPs.
Really?
To them, it's a done deal
Mm,
Yeah.
because Warren Buffett says so.
yeah.
Yeah.
When
So
Warren Buffett says so, it pretty much is.
yeah, I know.
And I think what Compass is going to get from that, Franz, is a lot of newer brokers to the industry who are desperately needing a Compass or a tech giant to take them over and give them a path.
Yep.
So I think it's definitely needed, and we're going to have to watch that. But I can tell you from just comparing what Best Choice Realty can offer an agent as opposed to a Compass or a Berkshire, and we can easily save 30 to 40% on what you take home. So that is,
Yeah.
and that's not going away anytime soon.
Yep.
Yep. So let's kind of keep moving because we have some more content to cover here. So at the end of the day, I mean, with all these different big headlines that are kind of hitting the news, you know, who are the winners? Who are the losers? Like who's winning out of all of this? So one of the things that people are doing really well, you know, and we forecast continuing to do really well, are the top agents and teams. The people who are, it's the whole rule where it's the 90% or the 10% doing 90% of the business. That's not going to change. That's going to continue to be the case. They're going to continue to do really good business. They're going to continue to do a lot of business. And part of that, I think, is because I have the next bullet point is because of their systematic processes that you have. So I think there's been this whole concept, especially with newer agents, where you know, they go through these different new training models and they say, oh, just fake it till you make it, you know, go on your listing appointment and make it in perception, you know, make it seem like you're busy and stuff like that. There is a certain element where it's going to be a lot harder to fake it until you make it. It's all comes down to the processes. These big companies are coming in and there is a procedure and process for everything.
And they invested millions.
Millions
Yeah.
or billions in some
Billions.
cases. So yeah, so being prepared for that and having a process for yourself, something that you at least have systematically, will make sure that you are a winner during these changes. The other thing too is proactive legal and expectations for sales agent. There's a lot of agents that got into the industry during 2020, and there's going to be a lot of agents leaving in the next couple of years too. It's a lot harder to be a real estate agent, and it comes down to the fact that it requires more effort than it did in 2020. This is kind of the way the real estate is meant to be. But as a brokerage, you know, proceeding with proactive legal and having certain benchmarks for agents is something that will set us apart. So when you're speaking to clients, this is something that resonates really well. I mean, we are part of a high caliber producing brokerage firm that focuses on quality. I mean, this is a big deal. These are things that clients want to know that they're taking care of. They want a boutique brokerage. Here in Washington, and we're actually pursuing some stuff over in Idaho, just proactively getting ahead of certain things that are happening in the legal space. We've seen what the NAR has done The NAR settlement that they had the last few years has been kind of in the noise in the news, right?
Mhm.
And getting ahead of some of these things so that way our clients and our agents are all protected and have a better situation in some of those sticky situations. So I would say those are all wins. Is there
Yep.
anything else you would add?
No, I would say personalized touch.
Yeah.
People that spend the time and the money to actually personalize their approach. You know, I know the AI is big and that's like, you think that that would be the winner, but actually if you go to the losers, I think the smaller and traditionals are going to be, unfortunately, they're not going to win. They're going to be, you know, beat out by some of these teams or these structures. And also traditionals are going to get bought up, or if you can't adapt or adopt some of the new way of doing things, unfortunately, it's not going to work. I was at lunch with another designated broker just yesterday, and he was talking to me about some of the, he's a traditional broker, and he's, I would say, upper aged, close to retirement, and he's like, you know, I'm kind of tired of all of this stuff, all these things we have to do. And so he's ripe for the taking if I wanted to bring him to Best Choice, but he does not want to do some of the things, put himself on YouTube. He doesn't want to do, you know, even make phone calls to even postcards that he's sending out. He's gotten to the point where he just is getting tired.
Yeah.
So those are the losers, the traditionals, or the people that are too small that don't want to adapt to the changes.
Yeah, and then I think it's agents who refuse to evolve too. So we had an interesting conversation. We were at a listing appointment, and what's funny is we were preparing a script. So we're putting ourselves on video, Rochelle and I were, to prepare this listing. It's a beautiful property that's coming on the market, and we're preparing our script of what we want to say in front of the camera so that we can show this all to you guys and how to do this. And as I'm putting it all together, I go, you know what's so funny about this, Rochelle? I'm like, these are literally marketing remarks that we would have done 20 years ago for a listing. And this is exactly what we would put in the marketing remarks or in the newspaper article. Like this is exactly what we would say, but the medium has changed. The medium is now more on video, on reels, on YouTube. I mean, it's a different type of form.
Same concept.
But applied differently. And the agents that are refusing to adapt to some of those small changes, they're gonna be left in the lurch in many cases in the next 5-10 years.
So what's on the horizon? Well, you're going to have a crystal ball that's kind of shattered.
A little crack.
It's a little crack. It's going to be faster. So get ready. Hold on to the roller coaster ride that we're going to still be on. It's going to be smarter. So I know smarter seems to be like the word of the year. Oh, smart TV, and you got a smart house, and you got a smart computer, and you got a smart this and a smart that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're smarter real estate agents when all this kind of shakes out. But the consumers are wanting things faster, smarter, and they're demanding that we adapt to all of these changes too. So how you search for homes. I've been in MLS meetings where we've talked about including products that allow for you as a real estate agent to just, you're driving, you're sitting in traffic, and you want to be able to get ahead of your next appointment because the consumer wants it faster. And the house you just showed them in Maple Valley is not going to work. And so you need to have, you know, your next batch of houses. They're working on the technology. It's there for the taking. We're looking at how we search for homes as real estate agents, being easier and more intuitive, using AI. How we get loans, also being very easy to, you know, kind of put into a program, have it spit out some different scenarios for you. And then also the negotiations. I mean, we've seen already the AVM, or the automated valuation model. It's going to get better and better as we go forward, as we start to get square footage and lot sizes, and we get data into.
What happened?
I think they froze. They'll be back on.
I lost sound. What's going on?
They got froze up, I think.
Yeah.
They're back.
There we are. Sorry, guys. We lost you there. Candace, where did we?
We're talking about technology.
I know.
I'm having it blip out.
Yes.
I think that's
Faster,
what
smarter. Yes.
faster, smarter. Well, we got slower. and
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah.
So will be faster, smarter, and designed for the on-demand consumer. So we were talking about closing and negotiations, I think is where we lost everybody. So I was meeting with Brian Bentley at Tycor, and the closing process, they're having to adapt in that industry as well, where people are wanting to meet with their closers, have more personal, meetings, Zooms, that kind of thing before they go to sign their papers. They're having to adapt to the same type of things that we are too. So
Yeah.
look for those types of things on the horizon. How can we stand out?
Oh yeah, I know. Here's the topic of the hour, right? So I think one of the biggest things that you can do that will set yourself up when you're going on an appointment is having, if you have sales history, have a proven track record, have a portfolio, share what you've done in the past to those clients because they want to see it. They want to know that you've been doing this, that you have a system, that you have a process. They want to see the portfolio. And share your work. I mean, share what you're doing with them. They want to know what the next step is. Okay, here's the next process. This is, we're going to do this step. That's where you can kind of set yourself apart. No cookie cutter solutions. Oh yeah, you
This
bet.
gets me really unglued. I can almost tell now when somebody has used AI.
Oh gosh, I know.
I mean, from the marketing remarks to,
Email responses,
Email-
even guys, like, we can
Yes.
tell.
So try not to you can use AI to obviously help guide you in the right direction, but try not to use all of it and not provide a cookie cutter solution for something that's really should take your brain power. If you need to take a brain break, I didn't realize a brain break was one of those things, but take a brain break and then come back to a complicated solution and come at it from a place of a human element. Yes, I understand AI is out there a lot, but there is not a cookie cutter solution for every situation that you encounter. And then your forms knowledge, we are offering a lot of classes to help improve your negotiation or your knowledge on the forms. Especially in Washington, I think Washington has so many form numbers and they've made things so complicated over the years. And
yeah, it's like we're mini paralegals in some cases.
It really is. And the numbers and everything.
Yeah.
But you should get your knowledge base so that you could basically stand out from the competition, because there's a lot of stuff that these technology companies will attempt to do to put systems in place, but nothing says it better than if you were actually to explain a client what they're signing and give that human aspect or that human touch or that emotional response that honestly AI has not been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
So that type of thing is super, super important. If you haven't taken the time and you've just been kind of like, what can I do to kind of improve my business? Come in, let us help you set up a meeting with Candace or with Virginia or with one of us, and let's figure out how we can get better at your job.
It's funny. We've talked about this even in the last year. Even agents that have been licensed 15 years or more, it does not matter. Just the changes that have been in effect for the last 2 years, or even just the last 6 months for that matter, nobody is exempt from having training on forms knowledge. They have changed so drastically. I feel like I'm constantly having this conversation with even agents that I never would have thought I would have had this conversation with, where they're like, I had no idea. And I'm like, well, come on, like, we've had this training, we've had these different things. Come in, like, we would much rather have you in front of us, and let's go through these things again proactively on some of these legal things that we've talked about, so that you're a lot stronger of an agent. Because at the end of the day, when you're negotiating, and there's multiple offers, I was talking with an agent this morning up in Mount Lake Terrace and Edmonds, multiple offers, waivers of inspections. I mean, this is going in certain areas. It's going to be very apparent which agents know their forms and which ones are just shooting something out there and hoping that it sticks.
Yep.
So yeah, know your forms. I've been in situations too as a listing agent where I'm having to fix the buyer's agent thing. And we don't want to be missing certain things that are putting it potentially where you're not getting compensated, or the buyer is ultimately, or the seller is put at risk on things. And sometimes it's just a click of a button.
We talked about personalization already, leveraging technology.
Yep.
There's products out there for just about everything. I think where we run into some difficulty is sharing what's working for all of us. So one of the things I'd like to do, and some of you are participating on our group, we have a very, very active Facebook group on both the west side, and we are starting to get better on the east side at going to that. And where I want you guys to start posting is if you find a tool or an app or something that's working for you, post that success, share it with the group, because the more we as a smaller, I guess we're not small.
More mid-sized,
I
I
would
would
say
say, yeah,
mid-size.
yeah.
But the more we share with each other, the better we all will be, and we'll be able to stand out from the crowd and also compete with some of these, I would say, disruptors out there in the industry. So let's leverage technology as an entire office. And if something's not working, share it on the group on
Yeah.
Facebook.
I know,
You know,
rather than
I
just
gave-
like pulling your hair out and just say,
Yeah.
I'm cutting this. Maybe let's see what if someone else is using the same program and see if they have some ideas on it too. I mean,
right now I could just off the top of my head, Social Bay is amazing. Cubicasa is amazing. Those are two very, very time saving and I think very valuable to the consumer that shows that we can stand out from the crowd.
yeah.
And it does not cost very much. So, I mean, those are some very, very simple things you can do right off the bat just today.
Yeah.
Try those two products out and then give us feedback. If something's not working or if you're running into some problems with the customer service, be sure to be outspoken on the group. I'd rather have that discussion within our group than to have an agent flounder for a year trying to figure something out. And we
Yeah.
could have actually helped solve that problem for them.
We had one of my good friends. She's not with Best Choice. She's one of my friends at another brokerage, and she posted on one of the pages, and she was like, "You know what? Like, there's got to be a better way of getting these copies of these the correspondence that we're all having to keep track of now is the material correspondence. There's got to be a better way than just screenshots, right? And stuff like that. I look through the thread and I go, this is amazing. And I'm like, that's something that we'll probably be sharing in the next couple weeks, is some of the stuff that all of us are sharing. It's that contributive kind of effort that we can all help each other out with. So that we can be one of those bigger, it's like a team within a team, right, guys?
Yeah.
It's the stronger teams are going to be the ones that are
That
going to be
win out.
standing the test of time and be winning. Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and open up for questions or comments. I'd love to, wild
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. One more thing.
Yeah, before I go, wild cards, there's
Yeah.
always wild cards.
It's certainly wild. Yes.
The disruptors are still out there. They're lurking behind the headline. So don't go down the rabbit hole. We have to kind of try to pull you back. We have the elections. People are using elections, interest rates, and legal, restrictions, or just the way that the legal industry has made it look like there's complication. At the end of the day, I don't know about you and me, but I have been more busy since January 1 this year than I have for the last 3 years with my own personal database. So if that's happening to me, if you're not experiencing that same level of engagement, then you got to change the narrative. You got to get ahead of it. I think Candace and Virginia have been spending time one-on-one with a lot of you and trying to get you to change the narrative. Maybe not focus so much on the interest rates, but focus on something else. Get your clients focus on the lifestyle, or have them focus on
The successes.
The
I think we've seen some
successes.
people doing, I got this person into house. They did this, they had this,
Yep.
but we were able to turn it around. I mean, share the stories. People love stories.
Yeah, but don't go with the wild cards. The
Yeah.
wild cards will get you off track.
Yeah.
At this point. So try to avoid that if you can, and focus on things that you can control.
Yeah, I think we had a couple comments, so let me just pull up the chat, and if you want to unmute your line, you're welcome to. We can take some of your questions. And I'm just going to read through some of the things that we got.
Interesting comment, Virginia. KW had their own mortgage company. Yes, they did. And many companies do have their own mortgage company as ancillary revenue. And a lot of them struggle, to get the market share up to the level they need it to make it worthwhile. So it's going to be an interesting ride to see how that works.
Yeah, and to Sean's point too, it's talking about what's most important to you. I think some agents, especially new agents, don't get caught in this trap where they want to offer the cheapest service or the best deal to their clients, and that is a trap. That I think it's important to talk about value. What are you offering? Because what I'm offering, someone actually might be willing to pay a lot more for. But if I'm discounting my services, it's like, what are you discounting from your value if you're offering these clients? So dig into more of what you're offering rather than just discounting your services or offering rebate.
Can I say something to that, Shannon?
Yeah, sure.
Anybody can discount their services, but then you are competing with people like Redfin and such that they have deep pockets. You'll never be able to compete with them, so don't try.
Yeah. Just focus on what you can control, right? You can do a lot with a little. And we will wow the consumers because we have the ability with our compensation model at Best Choice to adapt to any kind of marketplace or any situation that we encounter. So I can go up against any agent in any company
Yeah.
and be very proud of what we have to offer at Best Choice. It is unlike anybody else is offering because you've taken the time to build the process and your business out. And that's what will stand the test of time.
Yeah. If you have questions too, if you're wanting to build a system or a process or something like that, like we've talked about, so you can kind of get your business scaled and ready for spring. This is why we have Candace and Virginia to help you build some of those different processes and systems for yourself. So use the resource, guys. This is immensely valuable for you, where we can make it so you can have and run your real estate business truly like a business. You can have income that's expected rather than income that you're literally just trying to grasp as much as you can. So let's avoid kind of those pitfalls and like
The peaks and
actually
the valleys.
Yeah, the peaks and the valleys like we talk about in other calls and whatnot, and have a consistent business that's repeatable.
The questions you guys have, what else are you running into? Any other objections that you're hearing?
Yeah, Candace, did you get any comments that we need to go through?
Nope, I didn't get anything. I think it was just the two Sean had mentioned and Virginia. I didn't get anything.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess you're briefed for the next little bit.
Yeah.
Until there's other news on the street, but hopefully that was helpful for you guys to have an overview of what's on the horizon. But
I'm not
yes,
scared. You guys shouldn't be either. I'm not scared by these different acquisitions. I'm not worried. At the end of the day, your business is your business. And as long as you're adapting to quick, to big things, that I think that you'll be set up for the spring. I wouldn't be worried about some of the big national noise right now. Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next Monday.